The criminal, the clown, the comedian. These are but three of the many clown princes of crime that have recently plagued Gotham. Regardless, this trio of grinning menaces could very well hold the secret to finding out the true identity of the original Joker. And, inside the Batcave, the Dark Knight is well aware of what these maniacal clowns are planning.
We know the three Jokers have been abducting people from across the city in an attempt to create a better Joker.
Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, wonders what the Caped Crusader means when he says that. On the other hand, Jason Todd, the lethal vigilante known as the Red Hood, comes to his own conclusion, that the Joker has been messing with them right from the beginning, but Batman knows it goes further than that.
According to what they've said to Jason, it's someone who has an identity behind the smile. They left Jason alive so we'd know that. The three Jokers wanted me to uncover all of this. I just don't know why.
Jason grabs the opportunity to take a shot at his old boss, telling the Caped Crusader the only reason there are even Jokers around is because he's too weak to do what has to be done to these maniacal criminals. It does not sit well with Bruce.
Enough! You think I haven't wanted to put a bullet in his brain too, after everything he did? To Barbara? To you?
Still, Jason reminds him that the only reason there's one less Joker to worry about right now is all because of him. Now, you wouldn't be mistaken to think Jason is out of line, but he does make a point when he tells the Dark Knight the real reason he hasn't sent him to the cops after gunning down one of the Jokers. And the reason is simple. Sending Jason to the authorities would only cause a chain reaction that eventually leads to Bruce Wayne being outed as Batman. Thankfully, Babs is there to let reason take hold. Cooler heads prevail in the end, and the dark detective chooses to instead focus on the case at hand.
We agreed to work together on this. Let's start over and do that. The Joker's exposed dozens to these chemicals, criminals and doctors, people from different backgrounds, each one a candidate for this better Joker. A failed chemist, a deranged stalker, none have survived the process, except these three.
From there, Bruce gives the Bat family a profile for each of the three clown princes of crime.
The criminal. From what you say, Jason, he seems more focused on their goal and less interested in theatrics. He reminds me of our earliest confrontations. The clown. When we faced him in the aquarium, he embraced a lethal campiness like a children's show's host.
The clown happens to be the same Joker that Red Hood took out with a slug to the head. With that, Batman presents the last of the three.
The comedian. There's something underneath that smile. A sadistic streak stronger than the others.
This all leads to the big question, one that Barbara asks the Caped Crusader, whether one of these three might be the original Prince of Knaves. But discovering the truth about it might not be as easy as one would think.
Yes, and then that one made two others at some point in time. It's all a joke to him.
On the other hand, Jason presumes that regardless of who the original Joker might be, it's most likely some random Joe Schmo whose mind has turned criminally insane. With the debrief done, Barbara wonders if Bruce has anything else he wants to tell them. Truth is, he does.
Yes, I'm sorry I failed you, Jason. Let me help you find a better path, Jason. A new identity. Leave the Red Hood behind. It's not too late.
However, if we are to believe Jason himself, he is too far gone. Understandable too. After all, the trauma of literally losing your life from a crowbar isn't something you can just forget. However, they continue to pursue the case. Jason believes that, despite what Batman says, he knows the identity of the original Joker. But when pressed for an answer, Bruce has only one line for his juniors.
No. If I did, you'd know it too.
Later, Batman pays Blackgate Prison a visit after receiving a distress call that the Jokers have kidnapped Joe Chill, the same man who took the lives of his parents and eventually led to Bruce becoming the Caped Crusader. Batman investigates Joe's cell and discovers a stack of unsent letters the man had written, all addressed to Bruce Wayne.
If these are letters, why not mail them?
A correction officer tells him only Reverend Evans, Blackgate's resident counselor, could answer that question. Shortly after, the Dark Knight pays Evans a visit, who tells him that Joe Chill actually repents for what he had done to the Wayne family and how he wrote those letters long before he fell ill. More importantly, the Dark Knight eventually spots an envelope within Joe's stack of letters, and this one is directly addressed to Batman. When he opens it, Bruce finds an all-too-familiar ticket to an all-too-familiar movie at an all-too-familiar theater. He knows that's where he'll find Joe and the Joker. That same night, the Bat family heads over to the location they found on the movie ticket. Batman heads straight for the theater, where a recording of the clown forcing Joe Chill to confess why he took out the Waynes all those years ago plays. Meanwhile, gangs of recently turned Jokers dressed in usher uniforms set upon Batgirl and Red Hood. As for the Dark Knight, it doesn't take long before he spots the criminal holding Joe Chill hostage as the old man dangles from a chair suspended several feet above the ground. Seeing this, Batman knows what this clown prince of crime intends to do.
You want to make a new Joker, and you think that's Joe Chill.
In his sick, twisted way, the criminal reveals that he's doing all this for Batman, to make himself matter more to the Caped Crusader, to create a Joker that stands for so-called defined chaos. We find out that the criminal is dangling Joe above the same chemical vat that has given birth to so many crazy clowns in Gotham. And just as Barbara and Jason defeat the clown, Batman springs into action to confront the criminal. More chaos ensues when the criminal sets fire to the theater when a lighter slips from his hand and into the chemical vat after taking a kick to the face. Nearby, the clown recovers and escapes Batgirl and Red Hood's grasp. The criminal, on the other hand, is dead set on turning Joe into another Joker. So, he slices off the rope that separates the old man from the acid vat, prompting Batman to come to Joe's rescue. The criminal tries to escape in all the confusion, but the Caped Crusader halts his retreat with a flying kick to the gut. Afterwards, Batman approaches Joe, who has the fear of God placed in him. The old man knows who the man under the cowl really is. More than that, he's aware of what he did to Bruce Wayne's family all those years ago. All this makes Joe ask if Batman has come there to kill him, but the Dark Knight answers him with one word:
no.
A repentant Joe Chill almost gets crushed by the collapsing walls of the theater. Again, Batman saves him. Clearly shocked from everything that's happened up until now, the old man can only thank Bruce. And, in the most Batman way possible, the Caped Crusader replies,
"You're welcome."
All of a sudden, the criminal emerges from the shadows, ready to detonate the explosives tied to his body. But a bullet takes him out. Batman turns to see that it was the comedian who has just pulled the trigger, as the maniac celebrates with raucous laughter. In the aftermath, Batman escorts the clown inside the police convoy. He remains stoic, as he always does, while he recalls the fateful night on Crime Alley that ultimately led to this life. Meanwhile, Joker blathers on about how he is chaos personified, that he healed Bruce's greatest wound so that the clown himself could now be his greatest pain. Still, Batman remains mum and expressionless in spite of the clown's attempts to get a rise out of him. Sometime later, we discover that Bruce has read Joe's letters and visits the old man right before he passes away. Barbara and Jason each move on with their own lives in their own respective ways. In the closing moments of this story, Alfred Pennyworth asks Bruce if they'll ever find out the Joker's true identity. And, in an interesting twist, Bruce reveals something to his surrogate father.
Not to sound like people think I do, but I'm Batman. I knew the Joker's name 1 week after we first met. No one can ever know his name, Alfred, because if the world knows it, his family will never be left alone. The press will find them. The Joker will find them. So yes, I know his name, but the Joker's name isn't what's important. It never has been.
And if you liked this video, you'll surely love the next one. We'll see you soon. Take care.